Hello again, this is Mike, and this is the sixth video in my little series, Toolbox for Newbies. I hope you've been finding it useful. The last few videos have been how to alter sounds using the Toolbox sound editor on your computer. But obviously, if you're doing a gig, you haven't got your computer with you. Well, not convenient anyway, is it, if you set up on stage? So there is actually a way that you can do some of this editing stuff on the box itself while you've got it sort of set up. So if I switch it off, I'll switch it back on again just by pressing the one button. Don't need to hold any other buttons down. It comes up then into a mode that you can alter stuff on the box itself, not on the computer. So if we zoom in here, you might recall that we can either choose to alter stuff for the whole of every kit that's on there by pressing this unit. And I explained to you, if you remember earlier, that these press buttons here control the things that are along the top, and these twisty buttons here control the things that are along the bottom. Or you can press kit, and then you can alter the individual kit that you're listening to. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn this and I'm going to go up to kit number 100, because if you recall from other videos, I've been mucking about with that and using that as a bit of experiment, because it's far enough away from the beginning that I'm not actually going to accidentally select it when I'm not supposed to be. So it's called at the moment Toolbox Loop Kit, but it's not really. It's an amalgam of different sounds I put on there. So how do you go about sort of changing some of this stuff on there? We'll just look at changing some sounds. Well, first of all, that's this program there. If you press page down there, it comes up as individual drum. Okay, so here you can select what drum you want to alter. Now, if you were sitting at your kit and it was plugged into your kit, you could hit one of the pads and that would change. It's not connected to the kit, but you could do the same thing here. So let's hit a pad, Tom 1, you've hit Tom 1, and Tom 1 is selected on the thing there, okay? And at the moment, this is what's on there. It's called a Cube Beach 08 Tom. If I press Tom number 2, see, that's a 10-inch Tom, and I press Tom number 3, that's a 12-inch Tom. So we'll go back anyway to the Tom number 1, which is that one, an 8-inch Tom. Now, you recall from the computer that we had folders, and inside the folders were the different drums that you could select. Alright, obviously those folders, they're not open now because it's not connected to this now, but those folders are inside this machine. So if you look along here, we've got the word file, so that's the individual file for that drum. And if I turn this is underneath it here, if I turn this, you'll see that it'll change. So let's change it, there we are. So we'll change it to something completely different. This is called Gold 12-inch Tom. Alright, that's different. Change it again. There we are. Change it, here we are, we'll change it to a 16-inch Tom. That's a maple 16-inch Tom, that's what that says that is. Okay, so we've changed that. Now it says file, but obviously the files are inside the folders. So if you press the top of this down, it changes to folder, and what this does then, it enables you to go, it basically connects you to all the drums inside the Tom folder, and so you've got them there. Now why that's useful is because, as you see what I've just done now, I've jumped to the snare folder. Alright, but I don't want to jump to the snare folder unless I press snare drum. But when you press the snare drum, you then got into the folder for the snare drum, and you can turn that again there. So there's files and folders. We'll go back to that. And again, we can call it what you want. The thing about this, let's be a bit silly on it, all of these things you can change around. So if I want to put a cymbal sound on a tom-tom, I can. If I want to put a cymbal sound on a rim, I can. All right. If you want to put a tom-tom sound on the cymbal, you can. But don't forget, the cymbal pads have got 3 zones, but the tom have only got 2, so they won't work exactly the same. But you can do it if you want to. Decide you wanted to do it. In fact, one of the kits that you get as part of these 100 kits uses all cymbal sounds, which is a bit bloody useless as far as I'm concerned, which is one of the reasons I took it off. Anyway, let's go back to this, and we're on to tone number 1, and there we are. So this one is called Attack Tom. Alright, shall we choose that one? Let's choose that one. Okay, so we've chosen that one. Now, let's look at the other things you can do with it. Tune. Okay, now that's what it sounds like now. And this is at -0.4. Now if I change it, go up. See, it changes sound, makes it higher. If I put it down, it makes it lower. So you can do that on this. So what you can do, if you like the sound of a tom, actually you can put the same tom on each of those 3, but then by going in here, you can actually put one up, put one down, put one in the middle, and you can tune them like that. So you can create different kits just by doing that. And you can look at a kit that's in here already and decide, well, I want it pitched a bit higher, and you can just go in and tune everyone up a bit higher. This one here is the volume, and again that affects the volume of that particular pad. If we turn it up higher, oh, I've turned it off the scale, put it off the scale. There we go, I've turned it down the wrong way. So there we are, it goes up higher. So you can alter each individual drum, each individual pad, just by pressing that, and it pops up here, and then you can say, well, I don't want that that 10-inch tom on there, I'm going to put something else instead of it, and you just turn that to find the one you want. Oh, I don't like the sound of that, oh, it needs to be a bit higher, so I'm going to tune it up so it's higher. You know, you can do stuff like that. Oh, and it's a bit loud, so I'm going to turn it down. So you can do that with this, and this is basically how you edit it. Now there is other parameters you can do by pressing these different pages, but I'm not going to go through each of this, okay? Because basically once you've understood how this works, you should be able to go back to the manual and read about each one of these. That's the volume page, that's the EQ page, that's the effects page. You can read all about these yourself. Now the effects page, you've got 2 effects. You've got an echo effect, or if you change it like that, a flange effect. And again, you could, by playing around with this, by the rate, the depth of it, the volume, you can change the sound again. So you can have exactly the same drums. Say you've got 3 of those cube drums, I call them, or walnut drums, 3 walnut drums on there. You can have the same 3 walnut drums assigned to a different kit, but by tuning them up or tuning them down, adding some echo, adding some flange, changing the volume of it, it sounds a completely different kit. And basically that's how they've created the 100 kits that are inside the box when you get it. Now if I click unit, it gives me, first of all it's asking me, do I want to save that? I'm not going to bother to save it, so we'll do that. And if the unit editor affects everything on there, so it affects the overall things that do it. And again, the way to do it, the same thing applies. What you press here affects this, and the different pages do different things. So this is the fader. Basically these are individual volume controls: kick, snare, hi-hat. Okay, that's so you can, on this one you can alter the overall volume controls of all the kits, so it all automatically sets. So if you always like your snare drum to be twice as loud as your bass drum, you can set it on this thing. You can then go back to the individual kits like we saw and override it by changing the individual things. If I press another one, again, this is the trigger. Now this is an interesting one. I'll just cover this one. When you get to, sometimes if you're setting up for the first time and you hit the things, you get a lot of false triggers. It could be that when you hit the tom-tom, you hear a cymbal sound. And that's because the, you know, when you hit something, the vibration of you hitting the pad is going through all the hardware and triggering another trigger. And the way that you do that is, the way that you stop doing that is using this trigger thing there. So you can change it here, so it's off, so that any off, or it's low, or it's medium, or it's high, right? And then you can alter the effects of it as well on there, how high it's going to be by messing about this. The only way to do it really is to play around with it so you understand what works. But I had this problem when I first had my kit. When I hit the tom-tom, it went brrrr like that. It was like a machine gun effect, like if you put an old ruler on the desktop and wang it and it goes brrrr, blum, blum. Well, to do that, I come in here and I change this, and it means that it was less responsive. So instead of me breathing on it and the whole thing triggered, I had to whack it before it triggered, and that meant that there was less false triggering. Anyway, that's just a little aside. Again, you can look at what these page up and page down are in your this one here, for instance, is calibrating the hi-hat, tells you how to do that. So this is what you do, and don't forget the stuff that's at the top, you've got these push buttons. The stuff that's down the bottom, you've got these twisty buttons. I'm not going to go into all the details of every one that's there, because, as I say, once you know roughly where, as you got the manual, you can actually read the manual, and it tells you in a lot more detail than I can. So that's the end of this one, and the next bit I think is going to be showing a very simple one of attaching this to the kit. Okay, ta-ra for now.